Welcome back to My Dad Watches The Bachelor. I'm Meredith, and I'm here with my co-host, my dad.
Hello, Meredith. Good to be with you again.
I know, we're so excited to be back for our fourth season of the pod. Yes, that is four. Our third pandemic season, so this is really all we've come to know at this point. But we've had a little break since Matt's season ended, and I think we're both just so excited to be back.
Well, I'm always excited to spend time with you and to watch the car accident that is The Bachelor or The Bachelorette. So I'm ready to give you my take from the mature dad perspective.
Okay, well, we can keep our fingers crossed that maybe this season won't be as much of a car wreck as last season. Low bar, but I think Katie can do it.
I'm not sure that ABC would share your feelings. I think car wrecks help their ratings, but I'm with you. We don't need too much controversy, although I'm sure we'll get our share of drama.
So with that, should we get to know our newest bachelorette, Katie Thurston?
So let's get to know Katie, and this is probably the first time that we've been doing the show, or at least I've got a little bit of knowledge of Katie since she was a contestant on last year's season.
Yes, we know Katie from Matt's season of The Bachelor. She didn't really make it that far. She's probably about the halfway point, but she definitely made an impression, especially the first night. She exited the limo with her vibrator as a prop. She told Matt that hopefully she wouldn't need to use it much more after meeting him. I imagine that that didn't go as planned for her, but ABC has really dug their claws into the vibrator sketch. The whole thing, they've gone a bit overboard with it. They're dressing her in a lot of purple in the promos, which was the color of her vibrator, when they typically dress the bachelorettes in a lot of red. And I even saw one promo where they're saying, quote, find out what all the buzz is about. You get it? Buzz.
I get it, and I just would like to say that from a dad perspective, that's really not the way that he would prefer that his daughter introduce herself to gentlemen, and be known as the vibrator girl. I guess in The Bachelor, that's you're trying to make an impression, and obviously Katie succeeded last year when she started on the show that way. But dad advice to you: don't feel the need to flash vibrators to fellas. Not cool.
At least, not the first night, maybe the second.
Let's move along.
Okay, so we also remember Katie because she stood out last season as essentially the only woman to stand up against the bullying and negativity and mean girls in the house, which is a good quality that we want for our lead. We want her to be nice and open-minded and not a bitch, basically. So I think that Katie's going to do well. I think that if there's any man drama in the house, she's going to shut it down pretty quickly like she did last season. So I think she's going to be a good lead.
Well, I enjoyed Katie, and I think I might have picked her to be one of the final four, and I think I thought she deserved to go further than she did. I was a little surprised when I think she went on a date with Matt, and at the end of the date, which seemed to be going very nicely, Matt said that just wasn't a good fit, and she had to leave. And so I enjoyed Katie. She seemed to have a fun personality. She seemed to bring a lot of energy. I appreciated that she seemed to be sensitive and empathetic toward other girls that were not being treated very well during the show. So, she seems to be someone, I guess to use your word, would be a very good host of the show and centerpiece of the show. So I think that she'll do well. I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes with her.
Me too. So that's what we remember from last season. So I have some facts that we may not know or not remember from last season about Katie. So she's 30 years old, which I think is a very good age for the lead. I was looking at some of her men. They seem to be skewing a little bit younger, but I think 30 is a good age for a lead. She's from the Seattle, Washington area, and she is a bank marketing manager. And you'll like this, Dad. She has a cat named Tommy. I know you're a big cat guy.
I like cats and dogs, but yes, I do like cats.
And I like this. She's TikTok famous. This is something I did not know about Katie. Apparently, she went viral back in May of 2020 before she was even on The Bachelor for telling a story about shitting herself at work.
Okay, well, I'm not sure that's how you'd want to go viral famous. So not sure that's what you want on your resume. But a lot of us dads don't do the TikTok. We're worried that the Chinese are going to get all of our data, so we try to avoid the TikTok.
Well, I did some research last night. I went and watched these TikToks where Katie talks about her work incident, and it was pretty amusing. She has a lot of TikToks. She has over 300,000 followers on the app, and it seems like she talks pretty candidly about sex positive things through her TikTok.
Sex positive things, is that like
Yeah, like she's very open and sex positive.
okay? Well, I guess that's good.
Yeah, it is good. It's
Okay,
2021. Women can talk
okay,
about sex.
okay. Well, I'm pro sex except for my daughter, but that's great for Katie. She's 30. I mean, you're not 30 yet. You should wait.
I round up to 30.
Okay, well, you still got a few years to get to 30. So, if I were you, I'd hold out for the right guy.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind. And my last fun fact is that she's sporty, and she has even shown off her volleyball skills in some of her Instagram posts. So I think that we're gonna have a good season with Katie. She's funny. She's willing to laugh at herself, tell embarrassing stories, and she just rolls with the punches. And I think those are good qualities for a lead.
Well, I certainly like people that can be self-deprecating, and I suspect that she's that way, and I suspect that when I look at the bachelors, I'll look for people that might share that sort of characteristic. Uh, one question that I always have when I think about these programs, Katie was on last season's The Bachelor program. She's hosting this season's. Is she really a marketing manager anymore, or is she really a social media person? I question whether she's currently employed by a company as opposed to just developing her own brand.
That I think that's fair to question. I would imagine that pre Matt's season, she was a bank marketing manager. But maybe a bank marketing manager does just a lot of social media things, and so that's what she's doing now too. And she can just throw in a few bank posts every now and then. I don't really know how you market for a bank. It seems pretty boring, but that's just me.
I doubt that many banks have TikTok accounts and whatnot. So I don't think banks have expanded that far. Maybe they do some safe business Facebook type things, but I can't imagine that they get too crazy there. But I'm in the East Coast in a conservative area. Maybe in Seattle they do it a little bit differently.
Or maybe we just found a new market. Katie needs to tap into the bank TikTok area. That it's untapped. There could be a lot of money there. Who knows?
Now, I don't even know where this year's season is taking place. Do
So
you
we're in a pandemic season, just like Claire, Tasha's, Matt's, um, and I'm gonna butcher this name. It's being filmed at the Hyatt Tamaya Resort and Spa, just outside of Albuquerque, New Mexico.
okay?
So
Okay, and when did the filming start? Do you know?
I think it started in late March, early April. So filming is wrapped. Katie is back. She's back on Instagram, hanging out with the girls from her season. I don't know how her season ended. I am spoiler free, but the whole thing has wrapped at this point. And something that's
Okay.
new this season, because of everything that happened with Matt's season, we know that Chris Harrison is not the host. And in his place, we have two new wonderful hosts, Tasha Adams and the newly engaged Caitlin Bristow, who are both Bachelorette leads. How do you feel about this, Dad? I know you're a big Tasha fan.
I found Tasha to be delightful. I think she'll do fine. Is it safe to assume that Tasha is still engaged, or is she married, or what's her situation?
Tasha and Zach are still engaged, yes.
Okay, well, very good. And I should I be familiar with the other lead?
Caitlin, I don't think you watched her season. She's from Canada. She just won Dancing with the Stars recently. She just got engaged last week to someone else that was on the show, not from her season, but he is quite the businessman, Bo. So good job to Caitlin. He's a hunk. I,
Okay.
I'm excited to see Caitlin and Tasha back on my screen.
Well, it'll be different, yeah, and have we heard anything from Chris Harrison? Is he's we know he's doing his penance, and do we expect him to resurface at some point in time, or too early to tell?
Well, I heard I do not know if this is true, but through the grapevine, I heard that ABC was ready to have Chris Harrison host Katie's season of The Bachelorette, and they just needed Katie's approval for it. And Katie would not give her approval for Chris to be the host. And so I heard that production didn't really like Katie that much. So it'll be interesting to see if she gets a bad edit.
Okay. Well, some underlying things going on that we'll have to be watching for, and we're taping this in late May, and the season starts on Monday, June
7th?
7th. So, okay. So we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, so we're excited to get the season started. Join us next time as we very kindly judge the men of Katie's season and make our final four picks. So you'll get to hear all of that judgment from the right reason and my dad.